one of the good things about foraging in your local park or in the meadows around about the city or wherever it is that you live is that you can tend to get quite a few edible species really close, packed in next to each other. If you look down here in about 1 metre squared here, what we've got is this little white flowering thing here. This is called chickweed. Let me get my box open and we'll pick a little bit of that. I like to use a knife, but you could equally harvest it with scissors. Like that. And you just want the tender shoots. So that's the chickweed. We also have this one here, which is red dead mint. And don't be scared of the name. It doesn't mean it's going to kill you. It's perfectly edible. The leaves, the young leaves and the flowers are all edible. It has a slight celery taste and it is part of the mint family, but it doesn't taste anything like the ubiquitous mint herb that we all know. Down here we have dandelions. Everybody knows dandelions, and when they're young like this, they're really, really nice. The older they get, the more bitter they get, but they're really fresh and really tender, just like that. And we'll wash all that dirt off later on. So we've got the chickweed, we've got the red dead mint, we've got the dandelions. Here we've got some stinging nettles. I'm not going to pick them just now because I'm not going to use them, but they are, in maybe a week or two, they'll grow in a little bit more and you can get enough to make teas or make a soup, or just wilt them down and have them with venison instead of spinach or something. They're really great, versatile, and don't be scared of them. And here we've got the wild garlic as well, which is just an incredible wild herb, but we're going to talk more about that at a different point. So there's a little bit of the sort of diversity you can get all just within an arm's reach of where you're sitting. Just a little note that this is red dead mint and this is a stinging nettle. Neither of them are dangerous. In fact, they're both very edible. If you confuse them, the only thing that's going to happen is you sting your fingers on this one. This is ground elder, and in German it's sometimes known as Siebenblatt, 7 leaves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 leaves there. It'll grow on the ground in a little carpet, and just now they're really young and fresh. You can see they're just sort of dotting up all over the place. They taste like the green bit from a carrot a little bit, but it's the same family. Lovely. You just take a little knife and just snip it off nice and clean there. Be careful not to take too much. This that we're picking here, although we're calling it wild garlic and some people call it Bärlauch, it's actually Berliner Lauch. It's an invasive species that pushed out the Bärlauch. So you can't actually pick Bärlauch in Berlin anymore. It's just this Berliner Lauch, which has a slightly more oniony flavour than the garlic, but it's still just as delicious and just as free. Look at all of this wild garlic. This is in Trout Park in Berlin. Right on your doorstep. Free wild food. You can see that this differs from a side of salmon because salmon is a lot darker here. The scales are a lot more of these sort of black scales here. This is a lot lighter, and it's got a beautiful red stripe down the side here. We're going to leave the scales on because we're cooking it on the board and it doesn't make any difference. It just makes a mess of your kitchen. We're going to turn them over here and we're going to make sure that all of the pin bones have been removed. Now the pin bones run down here. This is the center of the fish, right down here. This is basically its ribs cage, and the fishmonger takes most of them out, but you just have to check that there's not just that 1 or 2 left. Just if you feel it with your finger, come in with your tweezers and pull it straight out. And that is our fish. And we've got one at the top here. There we go. So that is now pin boned and ready to go. maybe about 15-20 minutes, 25 minutes at most. It's started to completely change colour here. You can see these little white proteins oozing out means that the fish is cooked, and when you press it in the thickest bit, it's still nice and bouncy. There's still going to be some nice pink flesh in there. So we're going to take that in and we're going to start making the veloute. Now that we're back in the kitchen, it's time to start cooking. And the first thing that we have to do is get the base for the veloute made. So just before we do that, I'm going to quickly talk you through our ingredients that we've got laid out here. So for the soup base, we've got onion and potato, which we're going to sweat down in some butter. Then we're going to add this chicken stock. I'm using a brown chicken stock, but if you have a fish stock, use that. If you have a veggie stock, use that. Use whatever stock you like, really. Then we're going to put in some bay leaf. You can use thyme, you can put buccagarnes and all that sort of stuff in, but we really want this to taste like Bärlauch. So just a little bit of herbs in there. Here's the Bärlauch here. We're going to prep that a little bit later on. And then we're going to blend that soup all together. Then we've got some toppings for it. We're going to make a little lemon creme fraiche here with some lemon, some nice creme fraiche, bit of black pepper. We've got some croutons. And here is the herbs that we foraged earlier. Potatoes go in. And we sweat them down for just a couple of minutes. With a little few cubes of butter in there to add some richness to it. And we just let that sweat down a little bit before we add in the bay leaves. The onions are translucent, the potatoes had a couple of minutes in there, the butter's coating everything nicely. We'll throw in a little bit of bay leaf there, and then we'll add the stock. And you don't add too much stock at a time, because if you add too much, it's too watery, you can never take it out, but you can always add a little bit more if you need it. So we're going to put that in there like that, a couple of ladlefuls. We're going to cook that until the potatoes are tender. Then we're going to take this bay leaf out, we're going to blend it all up. Actually, that's not what we're going to do at all. We're going to cook it till the potatoes are tender, then we're going to put the Bärlauch in. Then we're going to blend it all up. When you're harvesting Bärlauch, you tend to get little bits of leaves and twigs and things in there, so you need to pick through it carefully. Also, sometimes you might accidentally pull out a root. These are perfectly edible, but we just need to clean off that dirt there. So we'll spend a few minutes just picking out the leaves and twigs, all that sort of stuff that we got, ivy leaves, you know, all the mints that you can't eat. And then we're going to go and just wash off all the dog piss. In a big sink of cold water. The Bärlauch, once it's been washed, is ready to be prepped. Now, if you put it in the soup like this, when it comes to being blended up, that will just get tangled around the blade of your blender, and it will just be an absolute catastrophe. So what we need to do is just take little bunches at a time and just chop through into small pieces. That way it won't get wrapped around the blade, and it also cooks a lot quicker, helping to keep that freshness and the colour while the soup is cooking. We're going to get the toppings ready for the soup here. We've we've got the croutons, the foraged herbs, and the cream. What we're going to do first is we're going to get these foraged herbs. It doesn't matter that they're all mixed up, we can separate them in a little minute. And we're going to put them in some ice water, give them a little mix around, get rid of any bits of earth and stuff, but the ice water is going to make them really nice and firm and crunchy and crispy, really beautiful little salad leaves. And while they're sitting in some water, we're going to get a creme fraiche, just a nice dollop of it, lemon zest, and fresh black pepper. Quite a lot of black pepper in this one. Like so. Seasoned with a little bit of sea salt. And then just simply mix that all in. And we're using that to season the top of the soup. Now, the herbs, just gently lift them out and put them into our salad spinner. Just making sure that all the dirt is off them. There we are. And then we can just separate them out a little bit into the individual types of herbs that we picked, so that when we come to garnish the soup, we can make it look all pretty. Okay, so that's our bärlauch cooked. We take it off the heat now and into our blender. Now, we don't want to try and do it all in one go because we'll end up not doing it properly and it'll just be half-arsed, and we don't want to overfill the blender and make it work too hard. So, half in, lid on, nice and tight, and then rock and roll. And see how we're doing. That is exactly what we're looking for. Nice bright green veloute. That smells fantastic. So we're going to put it through this fine sieve, conical sieve, and that just takes out any stringy bits that we don't want. This is the consistency that we're looking for. and definitely the colour that we're looking for. It's just a nice, fresh, vibrant, and wonderfully garlicky, but not too strong soup. Now it's time to take the sea trout off of its skin and off of the board. Just do that with a little bit of a spoon here and leave the skin off there. What we're going to do is just cut a couple of nice flakes to garnish our veloute with. Like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make a sort of almost like a patty or a rillette or something. Here we have creme fraiche, shallots, lemon, capers, and black pepper. To that we are going to add our hot smoked fish, just in nice flakes. It's beautifully translucent there and nicely smoked from the fire. And that is going to be the main herbal flavour in our patty. So now gentle mixing. We don't want to smash the fish into little bits. To plate it up, we'll take a nice board like this. Take our nice big dollop, because Emma and I are going to share this, like that. I have here just some watercress, just simply washed in ice water. A little bit of some good quality oil. I've got a rapeseed oil here. You can use a good quality olive oil, there's no problem. A tiny little bit of salt, some pepper, and we put that on the board as well. It's a nice peppery salad to go with our nice smoked fish, and some bread to spread it all on. Now, one last thing. I can't remember where I put it. Some trout caviar. When I said one last thing, I actually didn't mean one last thing, because I've got one last thing to go on top of here. So a nice helping of caviar. This isn't very expensive, by the way. You can buy this in the shop for about €3–4. And the last thing, a good grating of fresh horseradish over the top. Time to plate up this soup. I've been looking forward to this from the moment we went out to pick the garlic, and we went out and smoked the salmon, the sea trout, and now we are plating it up, and I can't wait to eat it. So here we go. Some lovely green wild garlic veloute first. We're going to put some things on the top of here, so it's quite nice to use a wide bowl if you've got it. If not, it doesn't matter, but it does look quite nice. Okay, so next thing, we need to season up the fish flakes, because we didn't season them at all up until now, because we wanted the moisture to stay in it when it was smoking. If you season it too early, the salt draws out some moisture, and then you don't end up with this lovely juicy stuff here. So salt, little crack of pepper, and then just sort of lay a few nice pieces on. Same in this bowl. It's a really nice contrast, that. In fact, we are filming this on St. Paddy's Day. So next thing we're going to do is a little dollop of the creme fraiche. Every time we film, an ambulance comes past, or the police park outside, or just getting used to it now. So here we go, a nice bit of cream just right in the middle there, and that's really going to lift everything up here. Okay, that's in. Some nice croutons for a little bit of crunch. Dead simple, dead tasty. Okay, some croutons in there on top of the cream. We can just put a little bit of caviar there as well. Stay up there for the photo, please. There we go. A little drizzle of olive oil, or I'm using rapeseed oil. You can use olive oil. And then our foraged herbs. Just a little scattering of them round. Okay, a few there. Just a couple of the small tender pieces of this. This is the red dead mint. Just a few of the little leaves there. And I think a couple of these little pink beautiful flowers from the red dead mint as well. This one here, this is ground elder. A couple of pieces of that. And there we go. Finished.